Thank you very, very much. And we are recording this, and I will be sending this to IACC. And we've got all of you on mute just because we do have a very large number, and the number keeps growing as we are on this call. So we want to make sure that we have everybody semi-quiet, but there is a chat box that all you have to do is put your Q&A into that little kind of chat box, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. So this is an incredible time for us to all really focus on what is happening with our customers, what is happening with ourselves, how we connect with them. I think when people say this is the new normal, it's not going to be my new normal. I am never going to allow myself to just be virtual forever. We like connection. We like people. We're going to want to talk and be a part of events. And an example is how we are all celebrating that today on the global, meetings and coming together. And it also shows a lot about the fact that those of us that are staying in front of our customers today are doing a much better job because people are remembering us. And that's vitally, vitally important, because those of you that are disappearing, that are not speaking to customers, that are not reaching out, you've got to remember, this is not giving you good street credibility. It's not bringing value to you or to the properties that you work with. Now we've got people from all over the world on this call. Some of you have been furloughed, and in some parts of the world, like in the UK, I think if you're furloughed, you get like 80% of your salary, but you can't use your company email you don't have access to your Delphi or your Salesforce. So I'm going to address that. You also have to know that if you are still working, because there is a handful of people in each organization, 1 to 5 to 10, that are still working, it is our obligation to be able to make sure that we are connecting much more than our competition. We do not want the competition to be seen or heard more than you. And even if you're furloughed, you have LinkedIn, you have your Gmail, and you absolutely can be connecting. I just got off a call, a webinar this morning with a UK-based company. I am on calls starting at 6 in the morning, going until about 10 at night, with people in Europe and then all the way to Asia, many of which are furloughed, but many of which absolutely are still connecting to their customers. And this is absolutely critical when we take a look at how you position yourself today so you will be with them in the future. Because make no mistake about it, my friends, we are coming out of this. We will come out of this. And those people around you that are negative, doomsday, the ceiling's falling, the world's falling, here's the point. We are coming out of it. And when we come out of it, customers will remember exactly who was there for them. During World War II, and I've brought this up on every single webinar, and if you've been on other ones with me, you've heard me say this. Ford, you couldn't buy a car. Ford never stopped advertising. And their tagline, which they still use in many cases today, is there's a Ford in your future. Well, there's a meeting in your future. There's an event in your future. There's a celebration in your future. There's a wedding in your future. This is not going to be forever. So the first thing I'd like to do is ask a polling question, and I will launch that polling question in a moment, but just to get your head around it. What challenges are you facing in reaching out to clients? So let me go ahead and launch this. And I want you just to look at some of the answers. If none of them work for you, then that's fine. But I said, don't know what to offer them, not getting a call back, clients are overwhelmed, some clients are furloughed and can't find them, having no problem or challenges at all. If you're having no problem or challenging, and finding it easier to connect now, maybe you're having 0 issues. So go ahead, let's take a moment, and I'd love to hear from you. Kim fell off of, her internet went down. Kim, you can't hear me either, can you? No. Okay, we've got some still coming in. All right, this is interesting. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm going to end the polling and I'm going to show you the results, okay? All right, so amazing. The clients are overwhelmed. Okay, that's, I mean, it's not a lot higher than don't know what to offer them, but clients are overwhelmed. So I'm gonna talk about what you can do for them, because we are on calls with meeting planners from Microsoft. We're on calls with medical. We've been on so many. We're huge conglomerate of medical organizations that had to switch to online, dealing with their patients. So I'm going to share some ideas, but that's interesting because if clients are overwhelmed, then that's going to give you a better idea of some things that you can actually offer. So now I want to just do one more polling. Let me just get this out, number 2. And it's going to be, what is your response rate in getting in touch with clients? Because we are finding this very interesting. Is it now versus not what it was before COVID? 10%, 75, 100, 40. Okay, I'm going to end it and I'm going to share it. And this is good, 75 getting to them 75% of the time, which that is exactly what we're hearing from everyone. We are hearing that before all of COVID and everything was going on, people could not get in touch with their clients because everybody was working so much. It was difficult to get in touch with their clients. And I'm not going to ask this question, but I want you to think about it. If you said 75%, then think about what was it really in the past versus now. So when I look at your approach and what needs to happen today, when you're getting a hold of 75% of people, we have to be more genuine. We have to be more authentic. Not that we weren't genuine before. Don't get me wrong. We're all genuine people. Okay, let's be honest. But I do think that occasionally we get ourselves a little spun up in just taking calls, emailing responses, checking our requests for information, RFPs. We don't really get on the phone prior to this and talk about, let's look at this event. Let's look at this meeting. What can we do to be that much easier to work with, that sort of thing. So one of the things that I think is important is you need to remember that when you reach out to a client, if they're overwhelmed, which is what I heard, what can you do for them? Maybe they're an independent planner. Maybe they are a person that is on their own. They're an independent planner. They don't have any admin help. They're having to postpone a ton of meetings and they don't have admin help. Well, maybe you could actually offer to help them. Now, I know that sounds really ridiculous, but it's not. So I did that with photographers at the beginning of March, when the third week in March, when there was so much postponement, cancellations, and I was on a webinar with hundreds of event planners, and some of the photographer said, you know, the biggest problem we have is we have no admin help. I said, well, what do you need help on? Because we have 10 people that are still working in my office. The trainers are obviously all at home furloughed, but we have 10 of the corporate team. Well, just sending out the emails, trying to get people to connect with us to find out if their planners moved it. I said, well, we can help you with that. And we did. And it's like I spent $1 million on them. I bought so much love, and I don't even do a lot of work with photographers, but remember 84% of business decisions are made by referrals. So I can assure you, when they're out chatting, they're talking about what we did for them. So think about that. You know, you can also create some social opportunities for your clients. They're not all as creative as we are. So I did this for the legal administrative assistants for a bunch of the law firms we worked with. We did some, you know, Zoom coffee breaks. We are conducting lineup for some of them because their morning lineup that they used to do, they stopped doing it as they're all working from home and they're under a lot of pressure with their attorneys. So what we did was we said, well, we'll run that for you. I'm doing a cocktail hour at 5 o'clock on Wednesday for a group of people, just because they said, you know, we feel like we FaceTime one another, we kind of chat, but many of these companies that you're working for, I have isolated people, and they're not all working in big organizations. And many of them, remember, they're by themselves. They're all alone. They don't have a spouse, a partner. They're not with someone that can actually help them. And that's where your positivity comes in. That's where your visibility comes in. Using technology just like we're using, you know, Google Hangouts and Skype and Zoom, anything where we're able to actually connect with one another and help people. But reaching out to existing clients boils down to some very basic sales things. And I would be remiss if I did not talk about this. I was on a call with a hotel group that we do training with. Yesterday. And one of the directors said she's having a lot of issues being able to get her people to really do the work they need to do. And I said, well, like, what do you mean issues to do the work they need to do? And she said, I really don't understand, if you're being paid, how is that possible? And I said, well, are you asking them to do these issues? Okay. And they're saying, well, no, I'm not giving, I think they should just know what to do. Well, they shouldn't just know what to do. And this is where sales leaders have got to be able to have the thought process to say, let's look at the sales activities that you need to do. If you're still working, then here's what we want to see every week. I've had some directors say 100 touch points, and we're going to talk about those. I'm also going to talk about videos, social media, and blogs. And I just saw a chat, Kate. I don't know why it's stopping people, but I'm seeing that there are people that can't get in. I'm sorry to stop right now, but I just saw there are people that are saying they can't get in. All right, so here's a couple things. One is, Kate, can you please let everybody know? If that's the case, we'll do another one live for them, and they can see the recorded one. I don't know why this has now happened, because we've had way more than that on other calls, but Zoom has had moments, I'm telling you. So let me just see. Okay, Kate, will do. All right, sorry everyone, but that's no wonder we didn't have the people they're being blocked, so I'm sorry. But they can look at the recorded and send in questions directly to me, Kate. You can give them my email. I will talk to any of them because I'm so sorry about that. And I can do it again if need be. So let's talk about the touch points. Let's talk about what that looks like, all right? First and foremost, when I say 100 sales activities a week, I know some of you are thinking, okay, are you out of your mind? We are in a crisis. I can't reach out and call people and just say, hi, do you have a meeting? Do you have any events? No, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to be thoughtful. I'm asking you to be deliberate. I'm asking you to be very genuine in how you reach out. The touch points are on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. The touch points are you sharing an article. commenting, sending them a note. The touch points are doing a short video and sending it directly to a client. So blogs, I mean, how many of you really are getting creative and writing a blog about a passion you have that relates to meetings, events? Write a blog. Have someone on your team that has, you know, better writing skills, clean it up a little bit unless you're a good journalist, and put it out there. Those are also touch points. But you do have to be able to reach out to your customers. And you have to reach out by genuinely asking them, how are you? I said this right at the beginning of the call. Genuinely, how are you? What could I do for you? Maybe you want to do a chat with them and say, would you like me to facilitate a session with some of the planners in your area, in a geographic area? Maybe they're in Chicago. Why don't you invite some of your MPI or, you know, WIPA, you know, members to come together, and I will meeting you. You will facilitate a little discussion, and I will help you with that. Cindy Novotny will help you with that. If you go, okay, I did it, now what do I do? I'll give you ideas. Team building. We are finding so much fun doing team building with some of these corporate meeting planners and their clients. Literally saying, send in your favorite picture of your favorite room in your house. Tell us what you like about it. And then we had 10 planners on the call last week, and I shared my screen and I would put a picture of a room, and they all knew each other, by the way. They're all independent meeting planners, and they would guess whose house that was. All right. Fun, not that hard. And every one of us can do that. And it does really make a difference. And you're connecting in a way that shows that you are successful, that you want them to be successful, that you want to make sure that we are all set when we come out of this. And too many people are hiding back. So as a salesperson, okay, there is no room for sleeping in. And if you're furloughed or have friends that are furloughed, or some of your team has been furloughed, I want you, if they were supposed to be on this, you can share this video. They have to get up too. They just have to connect via LinkedIn and via Gmail. But I'm telling you, if you hunker down and you go away, no one will remember who you are. And that's not what we want to do. So prepare some talking points. What am I going to say? What are some questions that I could ask? So, you know, obviously, if you ask the question, you know, how are you doing? They're going to say, well, how are you doing? Okay, because that's kind of funny. You're not just going to ask that. That sounds a little ridiculous. But I wrote down some questions. So let's talk about, and I wrote these down. How is your business pivoting during this process, during crisis, during COVID? How's it pivoting? Let them talk. Don't feel like you have to give them, just let them talk. Take notes. Then engage. Just like I asked you, what are your clients feeling? What trouble are you having? You said overwhelmed. So I'm talking to you about how to deal with clients that are overwhelmed. Another one, what is top of mind for your team right now? First of all, mental health is huge. Okay. We have a lot of mental health experts. I've done a couple videos. I'm not a mental health expert, but I facilitated a couple. I can help you if you want to do one for your team. I've got 2 specific women that do a phenomenal job. They will get on and they will talk people through. Here's some of the things we're doing so that we can feel better and progress. I don't know what they're going to say, but when you ask what problems or challenges, you want to be able to have some information. Use your resources. Let's say they bring something up that you think to yourself, okay, that's great, Cindy. Now what am I supposed to say? Like, I have my own I'm having a moment myself. No, say, you know what? I'm going to reach out to our HR team. I'm going to reach out to some subject matter experts I know, and I'll get back to you because maybe we could set up a little webinar just for some people on your team, right? You need to set phone appointments. People are actually really busy now. I mean, people are moving meetings, they're repositioning. Some now are changing. We had people booked for May because we moved things from earlier to May. Now they're saying we're going to go ahead and move it to June. I got people in June saying, I want to go now to September. So they are busy. There are meeting planners still booking business. I've talked to 5 hotels just in the last week that are getting RFPs, they're getting business, people are calling, they're booking the last quarter. I have been booked for the last quarter with people calling and wanting to talk. So the more you over communicate, the better off you're going to be at handling this situation. So how do you manage all of this when you come to work every day? Because you come to work from your bedroom to the office. First and foremost, there's a few things that are really important. You gotta start early to connect. So I know a lot of people that I've done some one-on-one coaching with in the last few weeks that are sleeping until 10, 11, then they get ready, then they come to work, and they go to work like for a few hours in the afternoon. No, not working. Okay, it never worked even before COVID. The early bird gets the worm. I know that's an old-fashioned saying, but just work with me on that. Get up, get early, get on the phone. Reach out to them, send a note. I'm checking in on you, would love to chat. Do you have a few minutes for coffee this morning with me? I'd love to do a FaceTime with you, all right? Pay attention to time zones. Think about your most productive time of the day. So for me, I am doing everything really early, and then about 1 to 2 o'clock, things start kind of going down because we're based in California. But then I'm sending personal notes. I'm looking at my sales activities for the next few days. I'm sending some thoughtful gifts to some clients. I mean, I was on the call with a client in Dubai, and he said to me, I really like this in Dubai. He said, you know, we're in these high rises that are hermetically sealed, and they're washing the streets with Clorox, and I can barely get out. And sitting behind him, I noticed something on his credenza, and I said, what is that behind you? And he said, oh, I collect inkwells. So I actually have a bunch of inkwells that I've gotten over the years from people around the world, and I've got some antique ones that my mother gave me, and I thought, wow, you know, mine are kind of like randomly, I never really collected them. So I've taken one and I've boxed it up with a note, and I'm sending him an inkwell. And I'm going to, in my note, I wrote, this is just to remind you, you'll be signing contracts very soon. You see, this is where you have to be a little more creative. If you're in the social side of the business listening to me, and you did a wedding for somebody last year, and you see it's popping up that you're looking at your calendar from last year and it's a year, well, sending them an anniversary card, picking up the phone and calling them. Remember, 84% of decisions are made based on referrals. I just realized that a year ago we were doing your wedding and it was so fabulous. Could be a sales meeting, a sales leader. Reach out to them. You know, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about our meeting that we had last year when we did the team building and the ropes course. And I thought, you know what, if you want, I could do a modified team building exercise with some of your team that's still working. I'd love to be able to kind of take the concepts that we've done before and bring them in. You've got to be clever. You've got to be clever. You've got to be present, and you've got to stay visible. So I gave you an example of my law firms, but I've also done this with travel agencies. I had one of the largest agencies on a call, and I said, what is one of your biggest issues? And I said that all of our ICs, independent contractors, are, you know, they already were, you know, home-based agents, but they were busy. Phones were ringing, emails were coming in with trips. Now they don't even know what to do. I said, well, like, I could help you with that. Well, how could you help with that? I said, well, let's put together some calls, like 10 at the most, so we can look at their faces, because you want to do small groups so you can all be on. So it's not big like this where I can't, you know, look eye to eye with everybody. And I want you to say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And this is what I did. I got all these like home-based agents, ICs, and I said, okay, guys, here's some ideas for you to connect with your consumer. Because remember, they're connecting not with corporate business, not B2B, B2C. I said, I want you to call all your customers that went to Italy, that are your big, that love Italy, that are like Italy lovers. All right. I want you to get 10 of them on the phone, and I want you to have a wonderful, you know, Italian kind of wine. I want you to tell them to have their glass. We're going to toast Italy. We're going to toast, you know, the trips we've had in the past, but then I want you to give them some nuggets and some new things going on in Italy. I want you to give them some fun ideas. Then get your cruisers together. Then get your London people together. Then get your Nashville people. see, the whole idea is you've got to have creative ideas to help your customers move forward. And I've said this on a lot of the calls I've been on. You need to create a mini value proposition that says, what is the issue you have, small business or corporate meeting planner or event planner? What ideas and actions do I have that would help you solve these, so that you can be a resource, that you can help them? Now, if you're running into like mind block and thinking, oh, I have no ideas, then reach out to us. We'll give you ideas, and we're not like the end all end all, but we try anything. We will do whatever it takes to be creative. You know, the music group I just got off with, which is a huge, one of the largest, you know, companies that does the big bands all over, you know, pan Europe and UK. I said, guys, you need to be really being creative, like sitting down at your piano and not writing a goofy song about coronavirus, but saying, you know, this is for all my friends that like Italy, and playing something that's very Italian. These are for my friends that love French, and play some song. You have the ability to be creative. Now, I can't do that, and many of you listening will be like, I'm not going to do that. But maybe that wedding couple that you see got married, that you're sending them that card, maybe you also take the song that was their favorite song, and you download it to them just right off your Spotify, and you're sending them something to create and jog a memory, okay? Offer to facilitate any kind of webinar with the subject matter experts from your hotels. You know, chefs that could easily do something and show people how to make a wonderful pasta dish that's easy. A bartender, a mixologist. Now, if some of these people have been furloughed, they can do it by volunteering to do it. Everybody needs to stay present. Don't let the schematics of all these schemes get in your head where we can't do that. Anybody can do anything they want from their own Instagram and their own Facebook and their own LinkedIn. Reply quickly, okay? Now is not a time to go in, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't get to my emails. Are you kidding me? You should absolutely be replying, jumping on it, making sure that you're staying very visible and responding. And then my favorite, I am scrappy. That means like I'm professional, but I'm a fighter. You got to know there's a ton of market segments out there that are still traveling and working, and you know that. And many of you that are listening might work for companies that your asset management group has hotels open. There's a ton of hotels open, and they're open for a lot of reasons. One is construction still going very strong in lots of parts of the US and all over the world. Medical, government, food and beverage, technology, legal. There's people renting hotel rooms all over in the US just to go to work. They literally get up, they go through the hotel. There's only a few people in the hotel. They can order food to come to their room, or some of the hotels are doing room service. And there's no restaurants or bars or anything like that open, but they go right to their room. The hotels are doing unbelievably well with this residential type of business. So get a little scrappy and know what's going on out there. The other thing, when I talk about connecting professionally and socially, I sound, and I am a fighter, but I have class and I have a heart. So being transparent, having communication that says, I'm in this too. Who isn't? This is the first time in our world, all of us in sales, the world's in sales. I've always said, if you can sell something, you always have a job. Every one of us were taken back to zero when the rules changed. Okay, every one of us. You have to be able to talk like that to a client. You have to be able to say, what is your sales team doing? As a salesperson, I'm wondering, you know, how are they connecting with their customers? The power of video. Video is huge. You get personal, not mushy, not unprofessional, but why don't you show something that you love in your house? Show how you've set up your office. Show something you've done with your lighting. Show how you can do, like Mark had his gorgeous, you know, screen behind him. Show anything. Share ideas that will inspire them. And as I mentioned, bring them together for some Zoom calls on how to be more creative and productive. You know, you don't have to have all the answers. You can be the facilitator to create some of this excitement. Now, the easy ones are the fun social hours, but remember, everyone's doing them, everyone. I think I've been invited, I don't know, every day to maybe 10 coffee breaks, cocktail hours. I've done more galas from the waist up than you can imagine, where, you know, the Saturday night and everybody gets dressed up, waist up, and everybody does their deal. Here's the thing. There's other things we can do. Those are good though, keep going. But how about how to decorate a cake? How about how to really create a craft cocktail in your own bar? Do a little video. If you don't live with anyone, then figure out how to put a little stand up, you know, and there's tons of little stands you can buy. You can get those on Amazon, they still deliver. And then you show how you muddle this and how you do that. Those of you in the UK, if you're listening, the proper gin and tonic. No one in the States, unless you're a mixologist, does a proper gin and tonic. So show them exactly what to do with the tonic. All these things are ways that you can create some fun, but just invite smaller groups together of these clients. The key is so that they remember who you are. So I would be absolutely remiss on a sales webinar if I didn't specifically talk about LinkedIn. I am still looking at everybody's LinkedIns, and I'm still doing feedback for people on LinkedIn. And it's still amazing how some people don't have pictures, some people have no presence, they don't have that many connections, they're not posting. You have to post once a day. Now, if you're having a moment listening to me, then talk to me afterwards. Send me a note, call me, whatever you want to do. Once a day. Something on LinkedIn, something on Instagram, something on Facebook, at least one of those, okay? You can share something, you put on one on the other. LinkedIn, of course, being the most business one, but yet if you do events, things like that, if you work the travel industry market, you absolutely have to be on Facebook and Instagram in a very big way. You want to connect, not promote. You know, you want to make sure you're sharing ideas or articles or, you know, things that would help them in their business, relevant articles, recommendations, connecting people with other people, saying, you know, I just got off a call with this independent planner. I think you two would be really great chatting together. I'd love to introduce you via LinkedIn so that they can maybe connect and do some things. You also have to know that you don't have to be a social media star to know that this is how you grow and this is how you get the traction and the trends. So even when you comment, I don't want you just to say, great, okay, thumbs up. Write something thoughtful. This was a great article about keeping your team motivated virtually. I loved it because of ABC. Write something that will help you stay connected to the customer. Write something. You know, another great thing to do with your team is to help your customers learn some things around their work. So how about you look at meeting planning? We all know that we work with some accidental meeting planners, right? And I call them accidental because they're not officially the meeting planner. They're a marketing manager, they're a PA, they work in communications, they work in PR, but they're the ones planning the meetings. Well, why don't you put together a little mini, you know, tutorial about how we actually do the meetings and how to get, you know, a better, you know, kind of handle on it. So when we go forward, it's going to be much easier for them, from BEOs to resumes, to how we work, to how things happen, to how to work with you on transportation. Give them some learning. Everybody, I mean, the learning that is going on right now, it's amazing. I mean, you know, Mark mentioned it earlier about just music. People learning guitar, piano, but people are learning in their job as well. So make sure you think about that. And let's see, Kate, if you can do me a favor, because Kim is not on. A few people, if they raise their hand or chat, Kim raised her hand too. If you have questions, just submit them here. And then I'm wondering.
I'm happy to also keep an eye on the chat section.
Thanks, Mark, because I'm now at normally I have Kim doing that. So I just want to make sure if anything pops in.
Call on me. I'm not as effective, but I'm there for you.
No, you're the maestro. So anyway, so back to, the ideas of sharing. Think about, how do you create a post event? So when you look at, different events, how do you actually create that? Okay. And how are you going to be able to be more effective after this? So you might say to them, I'd love to have you consider all the things that were a problem for you in the past. Oh, I see Kim's back on. All the things that were a problem for you in the past. So what I would like you to do is have them send that into you. So send it to every single meeting planner and say, I would love to hear, what are things that would have made your planning at our conference center or at our hotel easier for you? Because we are, as a team, I'm pretending I'm you when I say we are, as a team, working on ways to improve how we deliver our events for you. So what were things that you would like to see us change before this? And then what are things that we're going to need to keep in mind based on your request for after this? Why should we wait till this is all over for anybody to be sending in all these ideas? Like, are you kidding me? We want to make sure that we are getting these things out in advance. Plus, then it gives you a reason to talk to them. Because if they send it in to you, and they will love it, you can send it in as a survey or just an email. Then you can pick up the phone and say, hi, Kate, Cindy Novotny, thanks so much for sending in all your questions. I so appreciate it. And all your ideas of what we could do. I would love to set up a call with you and our GM to really kind of brainstorm some of these out. That is a touch point. Remember I said 100 touch points, right? 100 sales basics. How to hire speakers, right? Give them ideas of, different speaker bureaus you work with or people that so that it's easier. How to better ideas for launching products. Remember, you're the one sitting at the hotel, and normally you're not telling meeting planners that are calling in to book a meeting or an event how to do it better, because you're just taking the RFP, you're just booking it, the C-event leads, you're just Remember, we're working in the business so much, we can't work on the business. So now you could actually say, so here's a couple ideas. I've got some great ideas on how other product launches were done. And I know last year you did a product launch on ABC. I just got together with a bunch of my clients and brainstormed ways to do this. Wondering if you'd like to be on a webinar where we're going to share some of those ideas. People are not competing as much as they're cooperating and competing, they literally are. I'm cooperating and I'm with my competitors because we've got to cooperate. Okay. Take advantage for these touch points of all the things that you have learned in the past. Take advantage of this so that truly you really honestly are adding value every step of the way. Now, I wanted, even though we did this on our last webinar, I did want to bring this up during when we talk about selling and how to connect more. One of the easiest ways is to help them with their kids. And I brought this up if you were on our last webinar about creating a mindset of working from home, but now I'm putting it into a sales way, okay? Everybody is working from home, okay, which is so funny because we used to be like, oh, the dog's barking, I brought my dog to work. Now nobody cares. Kids are screaming, throwing stuff at their parents while they're, on a Zoom call. But here's the thing. You can actually allow your customers to let you help them with the kids. And now I brought this up on our last webinar, but I'm going to bring it up again. Myself and Marsha Murphy from our team, who has got a lot of clients that are doing homeschooling, okay? We don't have kids, we're homeschooling. My daughter's grown, okay? She doesn't have kids. So the first thing I did when we were talking to a couple of these clients, she said, if I could just get a break, she's got a husband, but he's also got a job, and then they've got the other kids. If somebody could read to my daughter for her 30-minute, reading time. So I said, oh, I could do that. And she took me up on it. Okay. So then I had to, of course, go on Amazon and get kids books because, what am I going to read? The sales books that I have behind me. So that bought me more love than you can imagine. And then Marsha, She just came back because we had her in Rwanda right before this all broke out doing training, and that's where the Gorilla's Nest is and the whole thing. So one of her clients out on our call said, you know, my daughter is writing, she's 9, has to write a book report on, you know, her favorite, you know, animal, like not dog, cat, but, you know, more of a wild animal. And she wants to write on gorillas. And Marsha said, oh, I just came back from the Gorilla's Nest. She did a 1-hour Zoom call with this client, with their daughter, the 9-year-old. Okay, the love notes that we got were like over the top, okay? And by the way, some of these clients that are not as fun and nice sometimes, I will tell you, they absolutely seem to get nicer and nicer when we're helping them. Now, I have a comment here that says, any suggestions on starting with new clients? My position was just starting with building the business in new market segments that this hotel has never actually gone after. All right, I'm going to answer that live, okay, because that's really, really important for everybody. So, for instance, there's 2 ways I'm going to look at this, okay? One is if you handled that market segment before. If you did that market segment and the reason they hired you is that you have knowledge, then what I want you to do is use that knowledge by getting some of these industry webinars together. So let's say, and if you can put in the chat box and tell us the market segment that you are going after, that would really be helpful, because then I can give you even more detail. But I'm going to make one up for now, and then you can give us the answer. But let's say that you are actually going after association business because the corporate business in your hotel had started dropping off. Then get yourself very involved in every association type of webinar. Start being a voice in that market segment with your hotel as the background. It's not like you're doing square on, trying to call, this is the business we want. Volunteer to be on panels. This is huge. So I am on so many different panels because the industry reaches out to me, and some I'm not subject matter expert on. Medical. I've been on several with how to help doctors on doing their Zoom calls for their patients. Well, they're not asking me to be on that call because I'm a medical professional. They're asking because they want some presentation skills on how they Zoom. Because, you know, some of these doctors are like this. Okay, so what you're going to do, right? We don't want that. So we're helping them with that. You know, offer to facilitate, but go into that segment that you are talking about and really offer to literally do that. And that makes so much difference because you're literally getting yourself engaged in a market segment that once we're ready to open, you're going to be able to call back and say, it was so fun. I don't know if you remember me. I was on that team building exercise we did for meeting planners for the medical market, for the construction market, whatever it is. See, you've got to keep reaching out just like you would even before this, because even reaching out cold to a new market probably was going to be really tough. You and I both know that. Picking up the phone and just like emailing, getting them on the phone before this was way more difficult than it is right now. And now you have the ability to do things in a more fun way. But what every one of us want to avoid is hard selling. None of us are hard selling. We want to avoid asking about future meetings. Remember the questions I said? How is your team pivoting? How is your company pivoting? What are you doing to keep the salespeople engaged? What are you doing to educate, do training, things that you used to do at our hotel? How are you doing some of that training? Number one, you're going to learn a ton of stuff. And then you can say, how is that going to then change as we look forward? I'm not saying, well, when do you think you'll start bringing your meetings back? No. Do not discount price, my friends. Please, please, please do not discount price. Do not jump and start saying, well, we're going to start having a lot of offers. We're going to start doing this and that. Don't start doing that at all. Make sure that we keep right where we were when it all started. Don't start this, okay? Because if you do, it's very difficult to be able to get that back. Incentive. If you give away too many incentives or programs, before we know when the end is in sight, oh my gosh, you could be discounting or giving incentive programs all the way into 2021, and that is going to be a problem, a big problem. Another thing that you can do is help them with their technology. So if you have a PSAV or a technology team, get them involved with you and say, look, let's do a mini webinar for how to do better lighting during Zoom. So you can see right now, if I turn off this light, see how dark I am? So then I turn this light back on, all right? So there's things we can teach them. The sound, how to make sure you're speaking well, how to connect. You see, we all have a lot of connectivity problems. You know, what's the best area in their home? Do a technology little webinar, because everyone's doing Zoom meetings. And I'm telling you, some of the most senior executives, I cannot believe it. I'm telling you, I see this on so many of them. Or their face is like this. Okay, not good. So you want to make sure, I mean, I'm on these calls and I'm smiling even when I'm just the panelist, but you can do something like that. So one of the things that I would like you, we're getting to the end hour, I would like you to think about what successes you are having. You know, what's working well. I would love you to just chat some of those in if you can, or you know, just kind of write some down, and then Kim, you can read them if you've got a few while I'm beginning to finish this up, because I think it'll be really helpful, because some of you are doing so many unique things. So you can just start bringing those in, and then Kim will read those, and at the end we'll just kind of wrap that up. I just think it would be fun to hear from some of you. I don't know if there's any in there. Go ahead.
Right away. Can you hear me? Okay. This is from Diane. I love the idea of bringing the experts into Zoom meetings, such as food and beverage, HR, etc. But our leadership team is so busy trying to keep our business afloat, as we as salespeople are in the trenches trying to stay connected to our clients. How do we get other areas of the resort to help engage along with sales?
Okay, 100% I get it, but this is where you got to tell people, stop for 5 minutes, okay? We have all been put back to zero when the rules change. I need you for 10 minutes, 15 minutes on showing how to make a great gin and tonic. Audio visual, you're not running a bar. What you're doing is you're trying to figure out how we're going to pivot when we open, but we're not open right now. Now, some of you might be, because some of you might be having some, but you're not. People aren't coming into a bar, sitting at a bar and making cocktails, I can assure you. You might be doing takeout. You know, many of you know I have my own restaurant. We had to shut down for 3 days and pivot that restaurant to get it to go from a USDA prime steakhouse to takeout, all right? We pivoted that and we figured it out. And Easter, we've never been open on Easter in the 17 years we've had the restaurant. We sold 550 covers to go on Easter Sunday with the mimosa kit. So I get that they're busy, but you've got to say to them, guys, just so you know, this is not just about now. You're doing exactly what we did when we were open. We're spending too much time working in the business, not giving enough time for on the business, and we need to do that. Great. Any more?
There's a couple really great thoughts and comments here. So Claire says, clients are willing to spend much more time talking, spending more time to socially chat as they are isolated. Time was too precious before, but now they are happy to give us more time, which is certainly great. Katie says, I've been sharing our pets as our work from home buddies in social media and on emails. It engages people and they respond to the photos.
Love it.
And then another one, Julie says, I have sent interesting and unusual articles and videos that folks may not have seen.
Fabulous. That's fabulous. And the more you can send to everyone, the better off you're going to be. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're a leader on this call, I want you to loosen the reins on furloughed salespeople reaching out via LinkedIn. I want you to make sure you're connecting with your furloughed team. Okay, if they're laid off, that's a different story. They're no longer working. Furloughed is different. I want you to reach out. Discuss client responses on lineup. If they're furloughed, they're not required to be on lineup, but I have one person furloughed on my team. She comes on to lineup every like 2 or 3 days. Have some goals for sales activities for some of the team, both furloughed and still working. Do not let this just be free for all. That we're not letting it be free for all for the kids that are homeschooling. Don't let it be free for all. Give these salespeople the direction they need. You know, there is a tomorrow sales mentality and there is a today sales mentality, but there is a tomorrow mindset. I want to make sure you are all ready for tomorrow. Remember, 84% of business decisions start with a referral. And I'm telling you, after this, people are going to remember what you did. They're going to have that trust. They're going to know that you were there for them. Remember to look at all the problems you have, everything that you can possibly help them with so that we can stay in front. The key here, do not let the competition do a better job of staying out there. Like, you got to be kidding me. Talk about IACC. To some of you might be on that are not members. I know it got opened up, but talk about, share. We are specialists in the meetings industry. Share that, stand out, and be completely different. So I do want to put up here, these are the upcoming IACC sessions. We have on April 17th, there's a technology redefining reality. These are all unbelievable. We're calling them shorts. They're about 40 minutes. We've also got creative ways to prepare to come out of COVID-19. Kim and I are doing that on April 22nd. And though ours are a little longer, like this one. And then on April 24th, there's another IACC short on food and beverage. And these have all been unbelievable, and people have gotten so much out of them. So with that, I'll go ahead and let Mark come back on. And at the very end, we'll see, are there any other questions before Mark?
There's one other question here from Scott. It says, you mentioned to offer assistance when helping clients to hire speakers. Other than your company and IACC, do you have resources to help direct us to high quality speakers to recommend?
Oh, absolutely. There's speaker bureaus in every, George Washington speakers bureaus, there's speakers bureaus in every part of the world, because some of you might be in the UK or in the US, and all you have to do is go online. There is a lot of speaker bureaus available, and getting them on the phone now and saying, you know, send me a list of speakers that focus on, you know, different things, and you'll find. And then what you should do, go back to all your BEOs, go back to all your events that you had last year, 2019, because, you know, 2020 is kind of a little sketchy. Go to 2019. You know who those speakers were that came in, because they came in and spoke to some of your clients. Get on the phone, find out what speaker bureau they're a part of so that you can reach out to them. All right?
Maybe even create a top 10 of inspiring speakers, which you build that top 10 by going out to 10 of your most trusted clients who you know organize and invest in their speakers, and then share that love with everyone.
Oh, that's a fabulous idea. Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. All right. Any other things, Mark?
So just to close, for those of you, everybody on this call is interested in sales. And even though on Friday, the IACC short is about technologies, we're going to be looking at technologies that are super critical for salespeople on virtual site inspections. New technologies that are coming into play now, new group, a video conference linked site inspections. So do tune in. It might be 40 minutes of your own life, but lots of stuff there that is critical to the sales and marketing process. And also just to thank you. I don't know how you do 1 hour after an hour after an hour all day, every day, and get to the other side of the day. You always motivate me and the IACC community, and we truly do appreciate it. Kim and Cindy, you're incredible. So on that note, we look forward to you being a part of the sessions that we put forward in the coming weeks, and certainly with IACC. Virtual Connect as well that I mentioned at the beginning of the call. And again, to everybody who did have anyone that was disappointed because they couldn't join today, that contacted them, within 2 hours we will have this session up on YouTube, so you will be able to watch it today if you had issues getting in.
Yes, and I apologize because we've had more, so I don't know what happened. So if there's anybody that says we had like 10 people, you can reach out to Kate. I will do another call, and it'll be shorter because I can then, you'll have the video, but I will absolutely give my time and support, because some of you might have had like 10 or 15 people from one company. So we will do that for you, no problem. Just let Kate know, and we'll do that.
That's grateful. Thank you very much. We're truly grateful for that, Cindy and Kim.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we look very forward to seeing you again soon.